Hello everyone. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to demonstrate that you have performed a leading or critical role for organizations or establishments that have distinguished reputation. And in order to make a successful argument for this criterion in the EB2 NIW or the EB1A, I'm going to be reading from a non-precedent decision for an administrative appeals office telling you how a petitioner case was sent in, was given RFE and was later denied, and the petitioner appealed the decision of USCIS, and USCIS, maintained their stand that the petitioner did not meet the criterion for evidence that they have performed in a leading or critical role for an organization that has a distinguished reputation. If you are new here to my channel, I want you to go ahead, like my video, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with your friends and family, as that really helps my channel. Let's dive in. Like I mentioned to you, I'm going to be reading from a non-precedent decision of the Administrative Appeals Office. And if you don't know about this is where if by chance you are given a denial letter from USCIS and you don't agree with the decision of the immigration officer, you are allowed to appeal your case. And appealing your case is like you are arguing against the decision of the USCIS officer, where you kind of show that they made an error in making their decision, and you go forth to stick your argument again once and for all. And whenever they make their decision, they could tell you whether they agree with you or the USCIS officer made a mistake. And if at all that happens, they either approve your petition or they sustain the decision made earlier by the USCIS officer. And in this situation, the petitioner, a dressage rider and trainer, was seeking classification as an alien of extraordinary ability according to the Immigration and Nationality Act, Section 203, subsection 1 and paragraph A. And they were actually saying that I have extraordinary ability and you should approve my petition. Like I mentioned, that this EB1A or the EB2 NIW, you could show that you have sustained a national acclaim, or you have extraordinary ability, or you have an advanced degree relating to your field of endeavor. And it could be in any field, either in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. And in this situation that I have before us, the petitioner is a dressage rider and trainer. A dressage rider is someone who rides a horse but is using the horse riding as a competition for, like in a competition setting. And this is what we are going to be reading about. And for the sake of this video, like I mentioned to you, we are going to be focusing on evidence that you have performed a leading or a critical role for organization or establishment that have a distinguished reputation. Now, the key word is that you should have performed a leading or critical role, number one, and also the where you perform the leading or critical role should be in an organization or an establishment that have a distinguished reputation. And distinguished reputation could be demonstrated in any form or in any way. It could be in terms of the number of employers that the organization have, or their sales in revenue, or how many employers they have, or who is the head of the organization. So it could be demonstrated in every way. But the main argument here is that you should have performed a leading or a critical role, and the organization must be an organization or an establishment of distinguished reputation. So let's dive in to see what USCIS says and what happened, what really went wrong in this petition. USCIS, as usual, will first of all explain the law to you and to show you that this is what they are standing on to make their decision. And in this situation, the petitioner must first establish that they have performed in a leading or critical role for an organization or establishment. Evidence of a leading role should demonstrate that the petitioner was a leader within the organization or establishment, or a division or department thereof. For a critical role, the evidence must show that the petitioner has contributed in a way that is of significant importance to the outcome of the organization or establishment or the establishment activities. Second, the petitioner must establish that the organization or establishment for which they hold or held a qualifying role has a distinguished reputation. This may include, but is not limited to, the evaluation of factors such as the size and longevity of the establishment, but not exclusively, the scale of its customer base and relevant media coverage. The director determined that the petitioner's role for they left it blank was leading or critical, but did not specify which applied to her role. The only evidence submitted in support of this aspect of the petitioner's claim was a letter from the company's owner. He explains that the role played by the petitioner in selecting young horses and training them for dressage competition at the highest level is critical to the success of his company, and cites the example of one particular horse trained by her, which was recognized as the top 7-year-old dressage horse in the United States. As such, we agree that the petitioner has established that her role with XYZ is or was critical. So they went ahead to agree that indeed the petitioner has performed a critical role, given that there was a letter from the company's owner demonstrating that fact. So that is to say that you could use a detailed letter from your boss or a senior executive to demonstrate that you have performed a leading or critical role. So let's move further to see what USCIS says. Turning to the second element of this criterion, the distinguished reputation of XYZ, the director determined that the evidence was insufficient. On appeal, the petitioner argues that the reputation of the company should be judged by the success of its owner and namesake. There are many things that are left blank here. I'm showing you on the screen too. However, the record shows that ABCs engaged not just in supporting the owner's career as a dressage competitor, but also offers rider and horse training and horse sales services. Therefore, its overall reputation in all of these activities will determine whether it has achieved distinction when compared to other such companies. Now, if you see the way USS is making this claim, they are saying that, yes, we agree that it was a critical role, but we have to make comparison with other companies for we to come to a conclusion, meaning that the evidence that your executive manager submitted to us, well, we agree that it is true, but it is not substantial in helping us to come to the conclusion that you have performed in a leading or critical role. Now, let's continue reading this letter, this administrative appeal decision. Turning to the evidence of blank, success as a dressage writer, this consists of his own letter, pages from his company's website, and articles about him. Other than providing facts about himself and his company that he wishes to be considered, the letter has minimal weight in demonstrating that blank has a distinguished reputation, as reputation is the perception of others in the equestrian sports field. Blank writes that as a dressage competitor, he was selected to represent the United States at the 2019 blank games, but was forced to withdraw after his horse sustained an injury. This is confirmed by an interview of him published by the website of Sideline Magazines on blank dates in 2020. This and other articles confirms his wins at the intermediate and Grand Prix levels, including companionships at the intermediate level in 2019 and 2020. The record also shows that in addition to the success in training blank has also won US Young Championship with other horses. In addition, he has coached riders that have had national success in the Young Rider and Grand Prix divisions. The totality of this evidence shows that blank enjoys a distinguished reputation in the dressage field at a national level. We therefore disagree with the director and conclude that the petitioner meets this criteria. Now, one thing I want us to understand from this argument and with this administrative appeal is that USCIS can be wrong in coming to a conclusion on your petition. In other words, we could conclude that USCIS are human beings and they could have erroneously denied your petition because they did not put all the pieces and puzzles of your petition together to look at the evidence that you submitted critically. And looking on the other hand, when you want to make a case for critical or leading role, I want you to take into account that USCIS is looking for the impact of that role and in comparison to the organization where you're working on. USCIS will consider if the role was critical, if it was leading, and if it was critical, how do you demonstrate the criticalness of that role? And if we look at this evidence and the argument, the back and forth with USCIS, we could understand that this criterion can be argued out. If it can be argued out, it means that we could make a credible argument, put the argument together, get a detailed letter from our employer or our senior executive demonstrating how the role that we claim to be critical or leading impacted the organization. And if we could also go ahead to demonstrate that the criticalness of our leading role led to a substantial impact not only within the organization, it impacted Americans and it has likely impacted the economy. And I believe that when we go ahead to make the argument this way, we are on the winning side of our petition. And if you have ever appealed your case and won the appeal, feel free to leave us a comment in the comment section below so that we will learn from you and how the whole process worked. I want us to take something away from this video. Now, if you've noticed that appeals work and the fact that your petition was denied does not mean that USCIS made the right call in denying your petition. Accordingly, you could repackage the same petition and send it back to USCIS, and if you're lucky, you might get an approval this time round. But I want us to understand that this video is longer than it is, so I divided this video. So watch out for making the second part of this video, where I'll be showing you from a non-precedent appeal where a professor was denied in their initial petition. They appealed the case and USCIS went ahead to deny the appeal because the evidence submitted does not demonstrate that the petitioner has performed a leading or critical role in a reputable organization. And let us recap this whole video before we end it. That to demonstrate that you have performed a leading or critical role, you should be able to demonstrate substantially that you have evidence showing that you have performed a leading or critical role. And what does that mean? It means that your duties and your duties and responsibility should not be the same as the ones given you in your offer letter. It means that you went above and beyond to perform that leading or critical role in a reputable organization. In other words, it means that you should have made an impact in an organization that is felt in the, let's say for example, in the organizational cells, or have impacted the organization in a substantial manner. Now, in this video, I have demonstrated that the petitioner, they were a dressage rider. They helped horses and used the horses to win reputable prize within a reputable organization. If you believe that this video has been helpful in helping you make an argument for a leading or critical role, I want you to go ahead, like my video, share my video with friends and family, as that really helps my channel. I will see you in the second part of this video as I will be making the post, let's say, next week. Peace.